Fuck you, I'm never drinking this shit again.
Hey, anyway, let's start this, man. Welcome to another episode of the GNPS. It's your boy General Ginela, and I'm out here. I'm not riding alone today. I've got my co-host sitting here on my left. You've seen him before. He goes by the name of Kevin. Sitting across us. Wow, that's new. I normally say sitting across me. No offense, Kevin. Sitting across us is our next guest. He goes by the name of Thabang. Thabang, welcome to the podcast, bro.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for people that don't know, who is Thabang?
Mm.
Who is Thabang? Where is Thabang from?
Yeah, Thabang is a Durban creative. I grew up here. Like I was born. Should I go that far?
yeah, it's fine, man. We want to know who you are.
I was born in Lokonja, Dandi. Then we moved to Durban when I was 7. Yeah, I've been here like for most of my life, and I'm a creative. Like if you guys wanna call what I do creative,
yes, it is creative.
Thank you. I'm a creative, and I love my work to do more than just look pretty, I guess. Yeah, so that's what I do.
Yeah, speaking about creativity, sitting in front of us is some of your work. Can you tell us about that?
This is a project we were doing for, like it's a self project. I was just doing it for to combat the scourge of AIDS in our country, especially. So what I found out was the government doesn't give out condoms at live events. Yeah, they do cover amalokonja ama SAB covers ama taverns and all those spaces, but like my live events, that's where like you don't find a lot of these things. And what's funny is that's where like the way like the youth interact, and one thing leads to another, and there's unprotected sex. So
yeah, the next day we end up in Mshan.
Or even worse.
Or people are running away from somebody because an accident happened.
Accidents. So like I'm trying to cover all those accidents from happening. So like we did like this thing, because like people are not really, they don't like a government condoms.
No, say it out loud. People don't like using government supply.
Yeah, they complain about it. So and the way that they give them out is it's not appealing to a youth. So like we decided to create a packaging that was gonna appeal with the youth. But what also is in there is like since the youth they're not really comfortable in talking about sex, but like there's connotations that are happening on Twitter, Instagram, like on my social medias, where it's sex under like candy coated basically. So
it's like there's codes.
There's codes,
language
basically.
Codes.
Yeah, and you find like my mom saw these. And like I was just glad to see she doesn't understand what's going on. So it's our secret code as a youth where we can talk about sex comfortably. So I decided to use that, and feedback from the people has been a good one.
Yeah, if I can read. Okay, so basically, I don't know if you guys can see here. If you're listening, well, I'm sorry. You're just gonna have to trust my description. Well, on this one, the one that I have, there's a caption here. It reads "Nyobile Nyobile," which basically translates to in English. How am I going to translate this?
you can't undo what's done.
Yeah, basically, it just means that once you've had sex, there's no undoing sex.
Yeah, there's no undoing it.
So
once you impregnate someone, there's no undoing that.
So for me, I understand why you'd put such a caption here because I resonate to this. Like, I mean, even if you look at this one as well, it says Phethela Bantwana in the meantime.
Which is
national anthem.
yeah, like it's from a big track, yeah.
Yes.
And that track was like controversial for like being explicit. It was
During
quite,
in the
but like
90s
the
and
youth,
the early 2000s, yeah.
the youth loves it. I think it's from 2005, 6, love. So like the youth loves it and they're comfortable with it. So that's why I wanted it in there. So like I want something that they're gonna look at and be like, wow, I'm taking this. And that's how you actually give out a condom without actually going to someone like, here's a condom. I want you to go and use this.
Because usually people have a lab coat and they're coming in this truck and it just seems too like quarantined, you know. And that's not how us as the youth are interacting when it comes to sex, and especially in environments where there's alcohol as well, where your better judgment is at risk, so to say. So it is good to also use pictures. Pictures do paint 1,000 words, and it's educational as well as informative, you know.
I mean, like you're absolutely right, Kevin. This is one of the ways that I feel like, you know, we in our community, especially on this side of the world, we don't appreciate art that much because I feel like, one, we underuse it, and also we don't understand it. But yeah, if you look at it in this case, you are using art and creativity to send a very powerful and very strong message, and obviously you could end up saving a lot of people's life. Because I mean, if somebody could take this just because of the caption they see on the package, if they find themselves in a position where they are going to have sex and they didn't buy any condoms, or maybe they don't even have the money to buy the condoms, but they've gotten over the stereotype of somebody seeing them like, yo, you carrying a government condom. You know? So it's like it's the new cool.
That's what I'm trying to do as well. Because like with the art, we're not big on art because it's sort of Eurocentric, whatever's going on out there. If you think of the way like my podcast are done, if you think of like my galleries that are out there, it's a different way that Africans interact with art, and there's a way that white people interact with white. So like with art, so when white people interact with the art, they go to my galleries because there's the whole history with like French artist
or the Renaissance
era. So like isikona leyo nto leyo embedded into them, and Tina, we still trying to find a way that art can work for us, and to put in a gallery in South Africa for black people to interact with art in the same way that Europeans are doing it is not going to work for us. So like as black creatives, we should try like find a way that our people can interact with art without many complicating it.
You know what I think it also is, we haven't really found the value of what art really brings in a society and what role art actually plays in a society. Because I know that art, even for white people in early times, it was a privilege. Only the masters, you had to be handed this thing down from a master, and then you handed it down to whoever you could. But essentially it moved from a privileged place to now being accessible to everyone, but the value is still... it's still, as you're saying, it's in a gallery now. So how many people would a street kid go to a gallery? What if maybe what he needs to see is trapped in this place where he can't even go and see it, you know?
Can't even access.
You know, it does actually now make sense. I mean, like, since you guys are speaking about, obviously, sometimes art can be limited to certain spaces. It goes back to me wanting to echo a message that Kevin highlighted on an episode that we had with him. He basically like said everyone should do graffiti. You know, because I mean, if everyone did graffiti, and then obviously art would be readily available conveniently, because you don't need to pay to go and see it.
Yeah.
And you can reach far more people that way than just restricting it to a certain spot.
Yeah.
So what have you had any luck in terms of funding as far as getting this project or this piece of work to people?
Yo, I'm gonna make people look bad. No luck, nothing.
None.
We've met up with some people who are promising to take this thing to the next level.
So wait, your first approach was to approach government, so to say.
Yeah, since it's like as much as I could want to do this, I could never do it at a scale where I can reach to like as many people as I can. Like a friend of mine just said, like the other day, we were driving past like this other area, like in down Yasemakaya, Langao. So we're driving past, and wakomba like one of the houses that were there, indlu nje yodaga. Once innovations akho could be had or understood or many like possessed by someone who lives in there, that's where you'd know you are doing a good job. Like I'm not trying to make this thing for niche audience, is like where we take pictures, see if I go Instagram and we get like likes, but like this is not for my likes. I'm trying to do as much to try and help people stop the spread of AIDS, and only government can actually do something like that. Yeah, I do understand for now I need those people who are actually gonna post but like I've been approaching the government because I want it at a wide scale, because I think it will take just one generation to stop this thing from not it will take one generation, but like if we can be effective in just one generation, have push strategies to give out condom to as many people as we can, like after 20 years we would see oh shit,
something is happening.
Something has happened, and you can never do things at a great scale without involving government, obviously. And I've been having I haven't been having luck as far as dealing with them.
So hopefully with this this would be a knock on the right doors, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
If maybe I work for Department of Health, so I don't know, maybe we can get some people to look at this, and maybe someone can say something about this to the relevant people, because especially moving forward, like the future, I like to focus on the future of this country health-wise. Sorry to deviate from the topic. Obviously the way the government is planning to facilitate healthcare in this country, we're moving towards a change, and obviously there's a lot of skepticism around it, because obviously we're moving to untouched territory. So I feel like a project like this could go a long way in assisting the rollout of the NHI, or the approach in rolling out the NHI, because I think the more people are clued up, the more people are clued up on taking care of themselves before they actually at that point where
it's too late.
Yeah, it's too late. Ish.
This is a great idea towards that. So I personally, I feel like it's something that that's worth taking some of my tax money
I'm willing as someone who works in the public space. Man.
I really appreciate that, you guys.
But this is okay. Before we move on, is there a personal point or a personal experience behind this project that for you?
Oh yeah, like if you're in South Africa, you can't live without having someone from your family dying from AIDS. So like in a country like this where AIDS is such a big thing, like we're the biggest in the world, like as far as the numbers of AIDS, and it really touched me. I would say, as creatives, what are we doing? Because some of the things we can't leave to just the people out there making our policies. Some of the things we're gonna have to take in our hands and to make that change. Like, I'm not an activist, I'm just a creative, and I love doing this, and I love helping people. Like, most of my work is centered around people, basically. How can I help? Like, it makes me feel more relevant, because like I've been in a space where like creativity was seen as, hey, slow kids. Those slow kids that don't understand maths, that are horrible in science. And I remember, like, just in high school and in primary school, like there was to be like those maths science expos where all the bright kids were taken out, and when you are left at school during those days, and you think to yourself, like, what value am I gonna bring to the world when no one actually sees you worth in what I'm doing? So like it came to a point where I was really comfortable with what I'm doing, and I do understand you worth them, and what I can do with, like, the impact that I can actually make out of having a simple illustration, but the illustration being more than just an illustration. Yeah.
Wow. That's not the only thing that you're doing. So that's not your only project that you're working on.
Yeah.
Tell us about your other project, which is a very close passion of yours.
Yeah, like the other one is my heart and soul. I do my storybooks for yeah, like it's a personal project also, but like I do storybooks, but I try and make them for black kids, basically, because when you go to exclusive books, you hardly find black faces, and the representation really matters. So like, once a kid looks at a story, like a picture, and says, nazi tuck shop or spaza shop, or nazi indlu efana nasekhaya, or here's kids running around the street, like it happens in my neighborhood, then they can start believing, I can be just like that character that's levitating lapana. So I actually have that much power as well. So what you find with storybooks is, like, my characteristics are basically somewhere in a fancy neighborhood where by just reading, you feel like discriminated by reading this thing. So like, when you bring it close to the black kids, they can start relate to it. They can start believing in whatever they see in there. Also, just to get them to read, where we can share ideas, start reading from an early age, where, like, reading is actually good, guys. So like,
very important.
Yeah, it's actually important, where we can share ideas, we can
articulate ideas
sort of have
as well.
sort of have a control in how our kids are raised, because what you find in most cases is our kids are only our kids when they come in from the day they're born up until they go to school. Then the government starts taking care of them. So like the more of these stories we can actually tell to them, we can actually grasp on them a little bit more. Even like telling African stories, like giving relevance to what their people are actually thinking, because we need to raise our kids in our own trajectory, where like we don't have interference from outsiders to give ideas that we don't necessarily
subscribe
to.
And that's also hard to reach for. Like, how are you gonna tell someone that lives in a shack in Mlazi, like, how are you gonna sell them a Bentley or the idea of something that's very far gone and that's maybe not part of our culture?
Well,
Yeah.
also, like them
knowing that it is possible,
it is possible, like
that they can attain that.
Also, like
definitely.
acknowledging them. I know you are in that shack. I've been there too, and you are a human being. Don't never feel like any less.
Yeah.
Basically, because like we need to stop putting value on people based on just how successful they're gonna be life in. We should put value on them just being human beings. Like as Black people, there's a lot that we should start like doing for especially our community, because a lot of people, like we let like outside forces manhandle our people. Basically, there's prisons out there. Like there are prisons.
There's social media.
Social media is a mental prison.
So like when like Umfoenu is being arrested, we're in a white system out there. They don't care about mental well-being. Okay, they don't care how he comes back as. So they're gonna handle him lapana, and he comes back to a Black community. He's gonna be living with your child, and all that education I told you lapana, like the whole Black neighborhood suffers out of that. So we need to start handling our people in our own way, based on how we feel about them, because it's our brothers. We love them. At some point they're gonna make our mistakes. Let's handle them as that, because the system handles them as those Black people.
So you become institutionalized rather than rehabilitated.
Rehabilitated.
Yeah. You're making me see something here. People like, we're always complaining about okay, kunamapara, and all those kind of things. Okay, the cops should arrest them. But like in every solution that we may come up with, and obviously that are there, such as, okay, they should be arrested, they should go to rehab. Like all those ideas have been around for a very long time.
Very long time.
And instead of them working, they just consistently produce more of what we don't want. And you've got this culture that's growing amongst us Black people, because the people that are prominent in the communities that we come from is somebody that's always giving, and that narrative has been around us Black people for a very long time. And obviously this is why we need facets such as what you're providing, where we're introducing a reading culture that has relation to us Black people. And not only, but we also get to re-establish the fundamentals of what could make the Black community a thriving community and a much better community to exist in, where people are well informed and they know how to behave, they know what's right. If you look at us, like right now, there's something I have a problem with. We have a culture of consuming. We just want to consume everything. Like right now, everyone is partying, drunk, You know, it's a nice time. But come January, how much do we own? What do we own?
What we consumed, we don't own nothing. We don't have shares in these alcohols we're drinking.
And
we don't have shares in the places where we spend. Because also another thing is we're also the biggest spenders of of these products that we consume, because people are coming from the township and they're spending money in the suburb, because in the suburbs that's where your higher market lifestyles are. So now if you are always being sold this lifestyle, you're going to go and perpetuate it in the suburbs, because that's what they're selling you. When you move into one of your first places, where are you going to go? To the suburbs.
To the suburb.
You're not thinking about,
we'll see.
Let me go set up my home somewhere where I'm from, because well, I don't actually know why, but it is important to keep money in your community and to keep money in your circles, whether it's even just amongst your friends, you know. It's important to, if your friend has a barber shop, you should be cutting your hair there, and you should be putting that pressure on him to cut the hair better. If you are selling food, he should be putting pressure on you to say, hey, so I'm always eating at your place. Make some healthy alternatives for us, you know.
That's actually true, because I was just thinking, like, with these storybooks, I don't want them, like, I want to publish them, but like I also want to self-fund. Like, I want to self-fund, so like we can actually make a company out of it. And the first people like I actually touched, or like my friends, I was like, yo guys, in the product lana, do you guys want to help me financially with this thing? Because we need to move away from ukuthi umngani wami masiyothenga ibhodlela kuphela. That's the only time where sihlanganisa khona imali.
You're investing back into your friend.
You know, so sengiphuma elokhunje emhlanga, I'm going to visit my friends eKasi, not knowing ama challenges abanawo, ngiyazi ukuthi ibhodlela ayifuna ngiphathe ibhodlela yabo le nto le. Kanti, like, the way the system has structured everything is that certain people can make it. Like, we come from a time where my artists are dying actually from, like, dying and having state funerals because, like, they can't afford to bury themselves. That's that's the value of art that we come from. So, like, there are many artists that have dope ideas. When ususpana uhlala go sentin, and you don't think, yo, Yazi Usman Man is actually doing something like this. Like, he's got a barber shop. Like, let's make that big. Yeah. Let's make that barber shop where everybody election comes in. That's our problem with as black people. And ama Pakistanis have moved in, and ama Lokunja Ethiopians, and basically they're showing us how things are done. Okay, we buy in bulk,
and this is how you
we're gonna send to Itak Shop Galo, send to Itak Shop Galo. If cold drink is not being bought over there, we move it to
and put whatever is being bought.
Yeah, because that's how things work. You can't operate as yourself. We industry.
Which comes back to the very important point that we need to work together.
And it's one of the most difficult things, but like it's important. Yeah. It's very important. It's important seeing like another black person is successful. Understand we need as many black people to be successful for us to be successful as a community. Like, the whole thing of black excellence right now is like, I don't really understand it, because we see Osia Kolisi Masukta black excellence, not to shame whatever he's doing. I think he's an excellent rugby player and is an excellent leader, but like, black excellence will only come about when we understand we are not excellence by us making it alone. Black excellence is actually a community making it. Like, how is your community making it from you making it?
Yeah.
You know?
How are they benefiting?
Yeah. Because what we have currently is individual excellence.
Yeah.
That's what we have.
And just to add on what you're saying, you know, we find there are black people that are excelling in different spaces. That's good.
That's
it's good.
awesome.
It's
awesome.
good in the sense that it's something to look up to. It's something that one can aspire to.
True.
But like when we look at the individual themselves, I'll ask one thing: what are you doing to change the situation from where you come from? Either okay, fine, you've made it. Everyone knows you, but like, do you still go back where you came from and plant the information? That you've used, or tell the stories that have gotten you to the point where you are.
So true.
Or do you also, I'll tell you this, being a public figure, this is what it means. It means that you have the ability to shine light upon others. We have, see, once again, people will get the wrong part of what I'm trying to say. We have Osia Kolisi, who just won the World Cup with the Springboks, our captain. We've got Zizobet, Uzozi. Zizo and Zozi. I always mix it, but they both beautiful women. I think it's, and they Xhosa as well. But both are Xhosas. Uzozi. She's Miss Universe. But like, why aren't we getting her interviewed by local platforms? On local platforms, why isn't she on every local platform? She's doing interviews internationally.
On Sway, that's actually a good point, because I actually saw an interview on Sway in the morning.
I don't have a problem with her doing that, because obviously that means she's gets bigger as a brand. You know, I understand, but like her being a brand all over the world, she now has a responsibility to come back and develop, because now as it is, the eyes of the world are on her. She's 2019 Miss Universe. There's only one 2019 and we're at the end of it. How many South African platform has she been on? Because when she won that crown, the rest of the world wanted to know about her. Where should people should be finding out who she is off of local platforms? But what that then does is that you grow that platform, because she has all she has the world's attention, and if you put her on, say, a platform like this, I'm not gonna cut myself short. That's the reason why I create this platform, is to show people that, listen, we can build our own stuff. We don't have to wait for a Breakfast Club to have a Kevin on in order for us to say, yo, Kevin is the man. Kevin's the man already. And Kevin, whenever Kevin goes out there and does great things, Kevin should be thinking, yo, and before I go to talk about this to anyone else, I need to go back home. Because that's the mentality that we gotta be thinking at. If we say we wanna bring black privilege, or we want black people to shine more, you cannot make gold and go spend it with other gold winners. That's a broke mentality, unless if that's where your people are. But until we recognize our own greatness, listen, this week I realized something. If you look at the whole of this land, amongst the different tribes that exist, amaXhosa, amaZulu, amaVenda, in our history, as much as we have different surnames, different clan names, amongst our clan names, those are not just clan names, those were royal houses. That's royalty. kunobukhosi bakwaNgwenya, kunobukhosi bakwaZulu, kunobukhosi bakwaNxumalo, or there was once. Yes, Ozwit. There was once, or maybe each surname comes from ubukhosi obthize. Why is that? You know?
Yeah.
But because of the way life is, obviously, they got conquered. And that's why we find what we exist is Amazulu, Amavenda, and all those. But still, if you go into the communities where these people exist, those royal houses are still recognized. Which goes back to the sense that we need to all realize that us existing here, we exist as royalty. We were once royalty. The people that came before us were all royalty, as much as they might have subscribed to or tried to subscribe to one idea, which is being umZulu, umXhosa, umVenda, umTswana, umSotho, whatever. But collectively, those were people of royalty. And it's high time we start thinking of ourselves of that. You cannot say, oh, I want to be on TED Talk.
Yeah.
That's good. Fine. You can be on TED Talk. Oh, I want to be on Breakfast Club. Why can't you think, yo, Breakfast Club is a nice show. Oh, TED Talk is a nice show. Why don't we have a TED Talk here talking about issues from here, from people that are from here?
It's
That's the kind of thinking that we need to have.
It all goes back to Ilokunja, like what are we producing as Otaki, and it's a production here to like what we, because I just recently studied up like the beer halls like around Durban. I don't know if they were a country nationwide phenomenon. So all kind of beer halls, that's where like these big beer companies moved into like the townships. So your mom was no longer producing umqombothi because like alcohol was being produced by the big guys. So a lot of things have been done to suffocate initiative. I'm not saying we should use that as a reason to be lazy, but just understand where the background where it comes from. As black people, we've been cut off from our production. Whatever we are producing, at some point we had enough land to grow our own crops. That has been cut off as well. So like it's important to, like in your analysis, understand like history as a black people. And now when you look at like most of the things that you need to make a podcast, it's not a joke.
Yeah.
You know, like you've got to buy my mics, you've got to buy lighting, you have to buy this. Well, thank God there's social media, and like you can basically use a phone, but like when you talk quality, it still goes back to privilege, who's got the most money. And to think Miss Universe could be you know,
no, but that's
like not looking down on.
No, you're right. I get your point. But Miss Universe, unfortunately, is from South Africa,
yeah. And she knows the environment.
And the one thing that I want to preach the most is that, let's say for instance, for me, I'm doing podcasting. I have a favorite podcast that I follow a few internationally. I like Joe Rogan. If Joe Rogan were to say, okay, come on my podcast, it wouldn't be nice for me to be on a Joe Rogan podcast before I am on any other South African podcast. Oh, yeah. The reason why I say that is because I understand that me being on a Joe Rogan podcast, I understand what it could do for a South African podcast that I've been on or that I can be on after I've been to Joe Rogan, so to say, in this context. But like, so all I'm saying is, as much as it's good to, broaden yourself, and when you're on an American platform, you get a bigger audience, and you get yourself to sell yourself more. But while you're doing that, do not forget where you're coming from, because at the end of the day, the reality is you are from here.
Yeah, but like
another thing I'd like to add is like, think about how she could activate all these small South African media companies and small brands that are actually coming up that need. So, but
I'll make it a perfect example.
In terms of this,
imagine if she said there, she said here on this very podcast, what it could do for this podcast.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Is that like how she could activate just by her presence, and now how internationally known. People have to now, to get the information of her, they have to come to South Africa, and they have to look back at South Africa to find that information. So I feel that's no hate on her again. Well done out there.
I feel like one of these.
No, we're just using her as an example.
I feel like she is gonna come one of these. Like,
you gotta just speak it
call
out
me.
there.
No, call me when she comes around.
It's not only her. This is not only to her. There are many public figures in this country, and they do not understand the power that they carry within them or within their art, what they can do. Like, for instance, if you approach a celebrity in this country to say, yo, I've got a podcast that I'm doing. Okay, we've gone out of our way to make it look appealing and to make it seem as professional as possible. And obviously try and get quality, so to say. But this is all we can do for now. And unfortunately, we don't have the views or the numbers or the following, which is how most people operate, which is the backward mentality as well. This whole numbers thing, like if you've got followers and that's what's happening, that's how we miss out on things, and that's how we fail to build ourselves. Because someone like you as well, if someone goes to your Instagram, they're gonna be like, he's a writer, but he hasn't even published one of these. That's the thing. That's how people will think, or they look at your numbers and be like,
oh, he's got 500,
only 5,000 followers.
It's basically how you build your thing as well. We would see, like, Coke on the first year, it was around I don't know how many bottles.
They sold about 50 bottles or
50
something.
bottles, If Ukoku went on like a rampage and decided to call out everyone that was around at the time, like, oh, but no Henry Ford, like, why aren't you buying our Coke? So it's all about building like your brand, like patience with it, and it's gonna catch up. It comes a time where like things catch fire, and you are suddenly up there, because if you look at Uzo's herself, if you look at her page from 2013, like
from Miss South Africa,
there was actually a post Trevor Sturman did, where he did her first photo shoots when she first entered
Miss South Africa
in 2013 or something, or 2013, 2016. He posted that picture because he's now a huge photographer. He's photographed all Barack Obama and different people. But it was also nice to see at the position he is, to see that, hey, I was also at the beginning of your rise.
Yeah.
And he posted that picture, and his photos are like amazing now. But if you see the photo he posted,
like
it's a whack-ass photo. It's like, you can see the grain, you can see this guy was just getting his getting his foot through the door.
It's part of the process as well. It's like, that's how I know that the universe humbles you, because like there's like, between you having nothing to you having everything, there's a road that you have to travel. And if you just get to your destination without traveling the road, it's gonna be overwhelming. Suddenly there's gonna be like 1 million people expecting a content like every day. And you can't deliver because like lighting yako is about like not enough. So like you have to take this thing slowly but surely. Even with the condoms, I'm trying to get slowly but surely with the people who would say, hey, we are played safe and you can follow us. Here's a condom. What would I do then if suddenly there's a demand for 1 million condoms right now? You know, because that's what Tusozi can do for you.
That's the reality. If someone plugs you in, and then you like,
Usozi talks about like these guys that are distributing. We're doing Ilo Kunja, like we do events and we want like 2 million condoms.
Of these condoms.
You know, ngabambi kanda ngisangane. Basically, so like you need to take these humbling steps.
You're absolutely right. It's like more like preparation. But still, I want to rubber stamp this is that we need to start taking ourselves seriously.
That's very true.
Like
that's
for me,
true.
as soon I don't even need to see what's written on there. I mean, the trouble that you have to go through to get something like that, it takes a lot. For me, that's enough for me to say, yo, okay, you're working. So, I mean, like for our public figures out there, when we approach you to come on these online content vibes, don't be like, oh, my brand. Because, like, listen, I'll tell you something. I'm just getting started. You know, and I'm willing to bet every cent that I have and invested in what I'm doing, and so are the people that I'm working with. So what you see today is not what you're gonna see 5 years from now.
Of course.
So when I speak about building our own platforms needs people who have the power to bring the people to platforms to come on the platforms, and when they build those platforms, they don't build them just for us, the people that created it, or whoever after them, but it's mainly for them, because if Ezozi would come onto this podcast and after she leaves, we're sitting on 1 million subscribers on YouTube right across Apple Podcast. Wow, what do you know? And from that, there's going to be growth after that. By the time she comes back, there could possibly be another 500,000 new subscribers that she now gets an audience of. You see what I'm saying? And obviously with us, like I said, we're not just doing this part-time. It's an ongoing thing, so we keep building. By the time she gets back, we could be sitting in a studio and not in a hall.
But like, what do you think? We need those guys. We don't need.
We don't need them. That's like, the point. That's the point I'm trying to make.
I understand. Because see, like just how much you can leverage out of their fame, but
you mean the people, the public
people
figures.
Out there. I mean, like about when this thing started, I was like, yo, if I could meet up with this so and so, if I could meet up with Minister of Health, and I came across. Oh, okay.
you met those people,
and like nothing happened. So like it's like the universe has a way of
has a plan as well.
Has a plan as well. Because like
right.
when the thing is, you just show up for your part. You know, go to bed sleeping, knowing as I met up with this guy Lamhlanje. We did an interview. We've only got 4 likes on Instagram.
That's enough.
It's enough.
I woke up. I showed up. I did my part and
produced.
Tomorrow's a new day. And
tomorrow's a new day. Like focus on the contents, because like a friend of mine.
Consistency,
consistency as well, because that's how you are being tested. When suddenly there's 1 million, how will you handle? A friend of mine actually once said, when I opened the Plate Safe page, he was like, you know what? Like, I really enjoy now where you have so little followers. This is the best time, because it's a thing with me that I would like to say one day. I actually knew this guy before there were so many followers, that's what I actually now coming across your guys' page. I was like, it's like knowing Kendrick in 2008, you know, before like the big star that it
Section
is.
80.
You know, it's like knowing AKA during the days of Entity. Where he was just like the other guy. Like no one knew what he was actually gonna shine out of all those guys. You know, so like. Just appreciate yourself enough to know that's what you mean to other people for now.
And you'll get your time.
You get your time. You get your time. You trust me.
And I see something there when what you're saying. Also with what like me, you know, if I'd like to get to more subscribers. I'm starting to think, if I had say 10,000 subscribers tomorrow, then I'm going to start seeing obviously some negative comments somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that you could be avoiding now at this stage.
And you can get like a big hit from it as well.
Exactly.
Because like for now, the content is authentic.
Yeah.
The more people come in, the more praises come in.
The more it taints.
You know
what you're actually doing. Yeah, I actually also heard that somewhere
also recently. Like when you demand, like once there's a particular demand,
it compromises quality.
It compromises quality in whatever and you want to do.
Yeah.
It's like a rapper getting into the mainstream. My albums are never as my mixtapes.
Yeah,
they're never the same, and very rarely do
they get censored a lot. Suddenly, there's a lot of censorship.
Even the content gets a little bit diluted. And then you start realizing that there's a lot more at stake.
I want to say it, but like
it's like, can you keep it down with the profanity?
You know, like there's 8-year-olds listening to your album. Yeah. Suddenly, there's 8-year-olds listening to your album.
There's also more responsibility that comes with making it at a bigger level that we also can't avoid, and we can't act like we haven't seen with all the greats. You know, once that brand becomes bigger than just an individual person. Everybody now has to be careful, because if we know it, like an artist is not an artist by themselves, because they've got their administrator, they've got their manager, they've got the image, the person that's handling the image. So one day someone could just put your jacket on the wrong way and you get clowned back shiz. And then it's like, hey, you know what I mean? It's the quality of that product is compromised. So just because they didn't take that responsibility and just making sure that the label or the tag is not there, or just something so small. And these days we are very critical. That's the thing. We're in a very critical generation, because someone can rewind, cut that little piece, and republish it somewhere else, and then now that makes your opinion. Now that's formed as this is what this person thinks now. And you're like, wait, but you didn't watch the whole interview.
Yeah.
You took a segment and now you're using, you know what I mean? Like we see it all the time. And I think responsibility.
You are easily dented. Like image yako is easily like when you suddenly become big. Yeah. So like what I always like try and focus on is content.
Yeah.
Produce as much content.
You know, even it's this like. There's this tendency that we have as black people, is that when somebody is trying to make a point on something, we don't want to hear the point. We want to jump to our own conclusions. Yeah. Like, for instance, I'll make an example. Someone seeing your condoms, that you made condoms, like, yo, this guy, why is he making condoms?
Yeah, like I've come across.
Because clearly people don't want to use them. Or...
And it's an uncomfortable.
Or someone will say, "No, I sabi 8," and I have a problem with all those kind of things, because you then shift away the focus from the main point, which is
safe sex, and protect and look after yourself.
And that's why we are the most most troubled community by this. Virus, or so to say, because I mean, even when I'm at work, it's so sad when you see a child that's sick and in hospital, because the mother couldn't take care of themselves or the
Ish.
parents couldn't take care of themselves.
Ish.
And that's purely the only reason that the child is there. And we don't think like that as the black community, that, you know, by taking care of yourself, you're not only just taking care of yourself, but there's so many other people that are involved, because by you having unprotected sex to start off with, so you're risking pregnancy. And after that, we're talking risking contamination of this child, because we know to change your lifestyle from living a poor lifestyle health-wise, it's hard to just switch overnight just because you're pregnant.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a process.
And I feel like that's something that's not communicated quite often in our community.
A lot of things aren't. Because,
Oh, I was going to add, also, like, so many positive things come out of just a simple message like this, because when you also just look at absent fathers, that's also putting, you know, if you're not going to be responsible for what you're doing and what consequences come from it, put this thing on. Just like, you're avoiding so much negativity and putting pressure on yourself. If you're not ready to change and stop drinking so that money can go to your consequences. You know what I mean?
Stop it.
Yeah, there's so much that can be seen positively about these things. And it's unfortunate.
Most of us, we don't understand just how much control we have over our lives. So, like, there was once a point where I was like, yo, can I just not have a baby before this age? You know? So, after some time, I realized, a baby is my choice. Like, I can have a baby whenever I want
you want.
Like, I can
Well,
delay,
really.
Obviously.
You gotta be fatal, fam.
That's true.
Look at Kay celebrating.
That's true. So, there's a lot of issues within the black community that are not being challenged. It's like simple things like we have a group mentality. I remember there was once a time
it's called mob mentality.
The mob justice.
There was once a time like Durban where if uselokshini and ugqoke isipova or ugqokile all star, like they used to look at you like
you're a clown.
Or like nigga. So like low mob mentality, like it affects us even in our health as well, because like I'll come in on a hot sunny day rocking my shades, because like I don't want any damages to my eyes, and they'll be like, so like a lot of these things, even with I was looking at like even like mental issues in my community, where if you go to someone and be like, yo Yazi, you actually suffering from depression, but you can get help, the first thing depression, it's a white word. It's a white word. It's an English word. So like, hey, that's why we need more of to take it back to us having control over a community. So we need to start like having words for these things, like depression. Have a word for it, depression. So when you go to malume, understand. It's, you know, for now it's just.
And then the symptoms, you can describe the symptoms as well and say, okay, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening.
Yeah.
And then they'll be able to be like, hey, it's a checklist, and you know, I can understand it in my way. Yeah.
So like, there are many ways that us as people need to start.
I'll tell you one sickness that we understand as the black community. Your sickness, inyongo. Hey, angizizwa kahle. I'm not feeling good. Unenyong. Melo pipinyong.
Yeah, no, you need to start like understanding most of these things and just putting them into a mind frame of a typical black person, like art, like what we need to do with art. I would say, you don't have to be in galleries. It could be elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know, for black people, we don't have to do things the way Europeans do it because that's where mostly our people are just confused. Okay,
getting lost.
You know, Kevin does graffiti, right? And he was talking about, imagine if Makas Makas Maning, everyone has a nice stop nonsense, you know, and imagine if we put graffiti on all those walls, but the graffiti that we put there, we are telling the stories of the place, like of that place. If it's walls in Guamash, we're telling on those walls it's
stories of what's happening there. Yeah.
Yes, or things that people can relate to. Mabelapa, Guamash.
You know what's crazy though is that if you've ever driven in town, if you look at the paintings that are there on the government walls, they are anti-HIV and put a condom on sort of things. Yeah. But if you look at how poorly they're maintained, it's like need to, if I'm driving past every day, remember the power of repetition is essentially what gets you into better habits. If you wake up and you exercise every day, by the time you get the first month over, it's easier the second month to wake up and exercise. But if you exercise the first two weeks or whatever, and then you forget, you fall off for 3 days, you fall off, you've fallen off, well. But now if you look at those images in town, nobody's ever putting them back up. It has to become a thing of ipumanin le tender. Why do we need tenders to do better? Why do we need why do we need money to be better people and to be a better society? Like, so whenever I look at those pictures in town, I'm like, it's fading, and that just goes to show you that the responsibility is also fading.
Are you talking about the wall, ICC? By any chance? Cause
the one that, well, there's many of them. There's different ones, because the one by the ICC is an old jail. It's an old jail wall, and they had the human rights one.
Oh yeah.
And even look at that.
Yeah,
that was fading.
That was fading.
So what is happening to our human rights? They're fading with those things because people don't know their rights. And then also there's one, you know, I think it's Old Fort Road. You know that McDonald's in town? I don't know if you don't know that main McDonald's in town.
Yeah, the one with the green birdie.
Is that the one near the workshop?
It's by Old Fort. It's like close to right by.
I see that.
There's a safe sex adverts painted on the taxi ranks, but guess what, guys? They're always covered by mategis.
Yeah.
And also the cool thing is, okay, fine. A lot of our community, people from our communities are catching taxis. But it's faded. Why are we, you know what I mean? And it's a problem now. If I go and put that message back up now again, I will get arrested because they'll say to me, who sent you to do this?
Yeah.
And I'll be like, I sent myself on behalf of my community. They'll be like, who's paying you? And I'll be like, nobody's paying me. I self-funded. And they'll be like, you can't do this thing here. And it's like,
but like
why can't
but like
you?
The history of Ilokunja graffiti has always been like a rebellious one. That's what I love about that culture is just informing your community with that like authority. Because the authority will always try and mess things up.
Yeah,
too even
much
like this other lady who was I'm forgetting her name. She's from Joburg. What she was doing is she was going around with them like taxis, just giving people like first class aeroplane treatment. So when they came in, they had like these nice seats, giving everyone drinks, So like that's, as a creative, I feel like that's what you should do often. Like be a creative, try and find creative ways of doing new things. You know, you don't have to be connected with like the people in high positions in most cases.
I guess we
when
do
like
bash them.
your connection should be with the people, basically, because essentially what you do is for like a band. You don't in most cases. That's why a lot of artists like are being used, like my graphic designers out there are being used, because like what we want to do is just basically have something out there saying, oh, I did that. And a lot of people are seeing that. It's, oh shit, okay, how about you do a logo for me? You know, umenzeli logo, next thing they're not paying you, because they know, like, I think everybody knows that about our artists. We just love having our stuff out there, being part of a movement of some sort. Because our art, like, you can never put a price on your art.
See, you're absolutely right. You know, I learned that through, you know, the guy who did the logo for this podcast. I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, this guy, I paid him. Okay, I charged him. We agreed on it. and I felt at that point, even at that point initially, I felt like, you know, it was a bargain for me, what he charged me, purely based on what he was offering at that time, you know. But now that I'm at this point and I see it, and I think about all the projections that I've made for this podcast, or you know, I'm thinking, do you realize that that logo is not of the same price as what you paid for it?
It's going up now.
It has gone up in value. And I'm like, but that guy. So for me, that's like, art is something that's undervalued by so many people.
And it gets better with time,
You know, and people don't appreciate it, or appreciate the people that do or produce art, that take their time, and they, you know, even I was telling Kevin with the graffiti, is that people don't understand, like, if you look at a wall, like just painting a wall in one paint, just to put on a face coat, oh my God, the time that goes into
the labor. You see, we all drive around, or whatever the case, or commute around. Whenever you see someone painting, what's usually the case? They're in the hot sun, they're wearing an overall, and depending on whether they're painting at heights or they're doing, it's also dangerous. There's so many things that can come from that, especially if you're working with harsh paints. Your life is constantly at risk. Like, just to put on the side of a flat, just to make sure that it was chipping away there. It's
and someone says, "Oh, that's nice," and move on, just like that.
But maybe that's how it should be, you know.
It's just like, okay, fine, it should be like that, but we can do more. Like, understanding what we can do with art.
We can perceive differently as well. We can.
And the reason we're not appreciative of it is because we don't know about it, and we don't talk about it on these platforms like this, the way that we're doing. And I feel like there's a conversation that needs to grow, not just on these platforms, but it needs to happen amongst us in the community, because clearly we can use art in so many ways to uplift our communities and actually create a better society for ourselves while we're still here and the future generations, which is something that we as a black community don't tend to think when it comes to life. And I like to say I appreciate you, bro, and I appreciate him as well. He knows that. That I'd like to say carry on doing what you're doing, and even like you said, I'm one. There's one of me, and I enjoy what you're doing. I love what you're doing. I appreciate it. Don't stop. So you have it. So you know, Guti, when you stop, you're not only gonna disappoint me, you're also gonna disappoint yourself. So it's very important. It's so sad that we've come to the end of our episode and we've run out of time. That's what happens when you're talking about important stuff. You don't have time. So for people that would like to follow you and see more of you, and obviously if you do know when you plan to release your books, share that as well. And that's that moment. You can do that to that camera.
Oh yeah, this one. For those who want to follow, I'm on. Currently, I'm really active on my thingy, on my Instagram account. So it's. Oh, what's my?
It's at Tabza underscore something.
Tabza underscore something. Yeah, let me just double check.
Yeah, you can check. There's time for that.
Where?
Oh my God, dude, I coughed into the mic.
Oh yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's Tabza.Mohapi on Instagram. Yeah, that's where I'm at for now, as far as my art and my books are concerned. Because like on Twitter, I'm just talking a lot of, like I say a lot of things on Twitter. But like it's poor urban kids on Twitter. But like I wouldn't advise.
Twitter matters.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why and for our thingy, our condoms project, we are at Play It Safe, so it's play.it_safe on Instagram.
Okay. Are you planning? Also, you said you're not planning on selling those.
Oh yeah. These ones. No, I'm not selling these. Like,
so people can hit you up for supplies and yo.
Yeah. Like I aim to like distribute as many as I can, just as long as it's helping someone out there. Yeah. And as far as like the storybooks, I plan to release them because like I'm trying to write and illustrate as many, as much as I've written like 60 of these things. So I'm trying to illustrate like at least like 5 or 6. So when people start buying, they have like a range to pick from. So, but like I do plan on having them out.
So with the books, it's just the publishing that's holding it back.
Yeah. It's the finances.
So if there are any publishers out there that may see this, or anyone that knows a publisher who may
I know
see,
a few publishers.
Oh, look at that! Look at that!
What I'm trying to do is just own it before I give it to other people. So like I'm just trying to test the market. Like I'm not trying to have someone else, like certain publishers, determine a market for me. I want to work with the publisher once I have my own people, you know, like.
Or maybe even if you, but you want the publisher to understand that this is specifically made for that target market.
Yeah.
And it's often target market that's not catered for. Basically, so therefore, if you're a publisher, you can. Okay, you know the industry the way that you know it, but you gotta take this into consideration.
They like once you work with someone who's played in the field for quite some time, they obviously have their own people. So like they gonna try and twist your work around to suit whatever audience they have. So I'm trying to build I'm trying to build my own audience. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. But like I do plan on, because I've illustrated most, do plan on having them out before May next year. Yeah. Like having at least 5 out before May.
Wow. That's impressive. That's good to hear. Other than that, Kevin, on your side as we close. Okay, let me give him a chance to say something in closing. Okay. Yeah, is there anything that you want to say in closing? Maybe give advice to people or share a personal note that sits high than most to you?
Yeah, just we live in a beautiful time where you can literally start a brand by just having a Facebook account or an Instagram account, just to test your waters, basically. A lot of people have started brands by just posting pictures on Instagram or whatever. So like this is the time that it's like the most beautiful time to live in, because suddenly you don't have to have like the big machines or the expensive products to actually start a brand. So like I would just want to encourage anyone out there, if you feel you want to do something, just do it. Do it, and never measure yourself against whatever is out there. Measure yourself against you, basically. Because my thing is, even if these books don't sell as much as I'd love them to do, even if these condoms don't reach wherever I want them to reach, like there'll be my grandkids who'll be saying, yo, yes, our granddad actually did something like this in 2019. Because now, like even my father, Ubaba used to make like cars for like all the kids in his village. So it's something I can reference and have pride that art has always been in my family. You know, so he used to make toys. Basically, he used to make toys. You know, he was like a Toys R Us. You know, so it's that pride that I can say, yo, this thing happened in my family. Whether he made it big or not, I'm gonna try. And if I don't make it big, my kids are gonna try. So like that's what I'm passing down to my kids, basically. That believe in yourself. Do it. It doesn't matter who's gonna buy it, just as long as you show up for your parts. Because if you dream about it, if you want to do it, what is stopping you?
Wow.
What is stopping you?
Wow. Thank you, bro. Kevin, anything from your side?
Man, just enjoyed this conversation, and yeah, signing off.
Where can people find you?
Oh, they can find me at Kev7 on social media. And also, yeah, just look out on the walls, man. I'm coming to a wall near you.
Shout out to that. Well, from my side, I don't have much to say. These guys have said it. They've said it all. Other than that, I'd like to say thank you for being a subscriber, tuning in and watching these episodes. You can go back and visit some of our older episodes and just catch up and see all the other information that we've been sharing. Other than that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's somewhere in the corners. I don't know. Just find it. It's there. And you're not going to lose anything by subscribing. You can follow me on Instagram at general_Nginiela. On Twitter, it's at general_Ngini. You can follow the podcast on Instagram at GNPS_podcast. That's where we share some of the clips, the shorter clips of these conversations. So just if you want to find out what we are talking about naturally here, you can just hit up our Instagram page and just see those short clips on Instagram TV. Other than that, you can follow my homie behind the camera, Tiny Films _. You can follow k.inc also on Instagram. Those are the people that are handling the production behind the scenes. It's been real. Catch us next time. Peace out.